With the 2020 season in the books, many of us are either looking back at the champions we just got or looking forwards to 2021. And with as much as 2020 has sucked over this past year, I know that we don't all want to look back and talk too much more about it. But I think we should, and see just how monumental this season was. So let's just rewind. Let's rewind all the way back to February at Daytona in a completely different world than the one we're currently in. Starting out, Speed Weeks, there just was the clash. It was awful. It was an absolute farce. I don't really want to talk about that one. If 2020 was encapsulated in a race this year, it would be the clash. That's all I got to say. But it did lead up to some of the best super speedway racing in the last 20 years, all leading up to the Great American Race, the 2020 Daytona 500. And this race was absolutely hyped. It was insane, the energy that was there. Being there all weekend, I can tell you there were so many people there, from other sports, entertainment people, and people from NASCAR's past. But the pre-race headliner was, without a doubt, the United States President Donald Trump.
Daytona International Speedway, we love our country, and it's truly an honor to be with all of you at the Great American Race. Gentlemen, start your engines.
They come past. The green and American flags are waving from the flag stand.
So after all of the presidential fanfare, it was time for racing. 100,000 plus fans in the grandstands, thousands upon thousands more in the infield. Dale Earnhardt Jr. ready to wave the green flag until rain. Rain would end up being a huge factor for nearly a third, maybe even half of the races this season. Only 20 laps were able to be run on Sunday before being postponed till Monday. And it was well worth the wait, leading to a well-contested race. This celebration of racing, though, would be turned into a terrifying fight for life by the end.
Here.
To the inside, Newman to the front.
Nothing Denny Hamlin could do. What can Ryan Blaney now do? Here comes a push from Denny Hamlin. Oh, this thing's not over yet. Not at all.
Ryan Newman off turn 4 for the final time. Blaney to the outside, to the inside. Here comes Hamlin up the outside.
Wow.
Crash into the wall, into the air goes Newman.
Upside down.
In a shower of sparks on his roof, Ryan Newman comes across the line.
In an instant, the focus went from Denny Hamlin winning his second straight Daytona 500 to fear spreading through the NASCAR world in an eerily similar way to 19 years prior with Dale Earnhardt. Many truly feared the worst. So, when a few days later, when the world saw images of Ryan Newman walking out of the hospital hand in hand with his daughters, everyone let out a collective sigh of relief. With that, the tour could move on to the West Coast Tour. While the racing on the track was fun for many, what was really fun to watch with true fireworks, both good and bad, was off the track. At Las Vegas, there was media controversy, starting out with my good friend Darian Gilliam, aka Black Flags Matter, for walking around the garage, having people rub a Buddha belly for fun, and for good luck. I mean, it proved not to be good luck, but you know. Anyway, a harmless act. But another friend of mine, Slapshoes, says it best. The media people said he was very unprofessional. But the worst came out when some random dude somehow got into the media center and asked Joey Logano a question that was just making no sense whatsoever. So of course, good old block 'em if they breathe Jim Utter blamed Barstool, and naturally Barstool would do what Barstool always does, and they absolutely obliterated this dude's ass on Twitter. Karma's a bitch, huh? Well, the next major landmark on track would come at Auto Club a week later, as both William Byron and Ryan Blaney paid tribute to the late Kobe Bryant. Alex Bowman did his best Kobe Bryant impersonation by absolutely destroying the field en route to a win. Now, the fourth race of the year at Phoenix was also a big one, as it was the first race this season with the 750 horsepower package. It went well, but that would be the last on-track action we'd see for months. The COVID-19 pandemic would sweep across the country and the world, halting normal life as we know it. In the place of real racing came iRacing and other esports.
To Denny Hamlin, and Denny's going to get there. Wow, what a race on the final lap off of turn 2, side by side. Dale Earnhardt Jr. and Denny Hamlin.
What a march to the front through this field for Hamlin.
That's a lot of Daytona 500 wins among those two drivers.
Hill in third, Briscoe fourth, Smithley fifth. Here they come off the corner for the final time.
Oh!
They all but come together, and the winner is Hamlin.
Wow, what a race. What a finish. Yeah, those fans should be cheering. They saw a heck of a race.
While most of it was for fun and games, serious things were happening. What seemed to be the biggest story was Bubba Wallace's rage quitting costing him sponsorship. Things took a much darker turn, though, with Kyle Larson.
I can see it. You can't hear me? Hey, wow, big. Kyle, you're talking to everyone, bud. Yep, we heard that.
Oh, damn, he did not listen to that.
Yikes.
Don't say anything.
Caught on stream dropping a hard R N-bomb, Larson in that moment also dropped an absolute nuke on his career. He was suspended indefinitely for the slur, and while he later would be signed and reinstated with Hendrick Motorsports, his overall reputation is definitely tarnished. So when NASCAR returned to racing in Darlington, he would not be among them. In an event that brought many in the nation together, NASCAR became the first major sport to come back. Later that week, NASCAR had a midweek race for the first time in forever, and it had explosive results.
Now,
And here goes Kyle Busch trying to take the lead from Denny Hamlin. Here comes Chase Elliott to the outside. Wow, that did not work out for... Oh, Kyle Busch turns Chase Elliott.
hard into the wall, and almost back up into traffic.
Oh, Clint Boyer getting pushed. Almost collects him.
11th caution flag.
Oh, boy.
Next day, one of the most bittersweet stories of the season came to be. Chase Briscoe had recently found out that his wife had suffered a miscarriage. In a show of resilience, he was able to hold off Kyle Busch for the win.
Definitely was looking in the mirror, changed his line, moved up, went into the bottom, gave that opportunity. Oh, he's in the fence!
White flag is out.
Oh,
One
no.
lap to go. Brought to you by Credit One Bank. Kyle Busch to the inside, takes over the top spot from Chase
Not
Briscoe. And here comes the 98 in the outside
How
lane,
about
tapping
that?
the wall. What a race off of turn 2. Chase Briscoe trying to hold off Kyle Busch. One last try for the 54. He's the all-time wins leader. Can he get there? Briscoe in the high lane. Kyle Busch down low.
Got it.
Back to the start-finish line
Momentum.
at Darlington. It's Chase Briscoe who wins it.
Well, obviously, a very emotional Chase Briscoe. Chase, we know the story this week and what you've been through. We see the emotion on your face. But what a way to end the week with a win.
Yeah, this is for my wife. You know, this is the hardest week I've ever had to deal with, and Scott is so good, man. Even when I took the lead with 50 to go, you know, I was crying inside the race car, and you know, just emotionally, I wasn't there at all. And just, there's nothing other to say than God is just so glorious. And you know, I'm obviously happy to get highpoint.com and Ford Performance Racing School in Victory Lane, but this is more than a race win. This is, you know, the biggest day of my life, you know, after the toughest day of my life. So just then to be able to be the best there is you know, so satisfying.
The world outside of NASCAR would also keep going through life as well. And in late May, the nation was shocked by the killing of a man named George Floyd, a 46-year-old black man from Minneapolis, Minnesota. Protests and riots broke out across the country, and just about every public voice spoke out. And in NASCAR, this was seen by Bubba Wallace, driving a Black Lives Matter car, as well as calling for the removal of the Confederate flag from all NASCAR events. Naturally, this garnered mixed reviews from fans. Praise from many younger fans, while older fans were much more angered by this. But the direction that NASCAR was taking was obvious. On top of all those things, President Steve Phelps had given a pre-race speech at Atlanta about racism, banned the Confederate flag, and NASCAR showed full support for Pride Month. It was an abrupt turn for a sport that had for so long done its best to stay out of the social and political fray. So when it was announced that there was an alleged noose in Bubba Wallace's garage stall, the story absolutely exploded. Everyone, both inside the sport, fans of the sport, and outsiders of the sport of NASCAR, heard of the noose and the name Bubba Wallace. So when it was later found that the alleged noose was actually a garage pole, the internet had a field day with it. For NASCAR, the public announcement of it that they had done was one of the biggest PR blunders in decades, maybe ever. For Bubba, it was a big hit to his public standing, even though he had nothing to do with the original story. This would be the most political and public that NASCAR would be all year. And it seemed that NASCAR knew this as well, as after this, the focus once again was heavily on racing through the summer. History was made in the next 2 weeks as well. NASCAR hosted its first Cup doubleheader ever at Pocono Raceway, and then the next week at the famed Indianapolis Motor Speedway, NASCAR held its first doubleheader with IndyCar. 2020 is wild, and this previously unthinkable partnership became a reality. NASCAR's role kept on going into Kentucky.
Kevin Harvick, here comes Blaney to the inside, 3 wide. Custer to the outside, 4 wide.
White flag waves, 1 to go, sponsored by Credit One Bank. Next flag ends it.
They're banging off one another.
Custer to the lead.
Oh, heavy tire rub on the 4-car Kevin Harvick.
A rookie is going to win Kentucky. Can you believe it?
I never would have believed it till now, Mike.
Custer, Truex, DiBenedetto, Harvick, Blaney.
Wow.
Off the final turn. Rookie Cole Custer wins Kentucky. Can you believe it?
The summer, ironically, actually cooled off for the most part in the sport, but NASCAR did manage to accomplish 2 major things that seemed unthinkable. Number 1, they ran at the Daytona road course for the first time. And number 2, after the second race of the August Dover doubleheader, the sport was back on its original schedule. This was good, as the regular season finale would take place at the Daytona International Speedway. It was the final chance for many drivers to make the playoffs, most high-profile driver of all of these being 7-time champion Jimmie Johnson. Johnson was in a hole due to some poor runs, a disqualification earlier in the season, and missing a race due to contracting the coronavirus. The 48 would run fast, but the racing gods would not be so merciful. Instead, his teammate William Byron and Johnson's former crew chief Chad Canals would come in clutch.
Stay with your teammate.
They continue to fight.
You're clear.
Through 3 and 4. William Byron looking for his first ever win in the NASCAR Cup Series. A win, a secured spot in the playoffs. William Byron's going to win.
The next week at Darlington saw 2 of the best finishes in all of NASCAR in 2020.
Yeah, this could get the slide job that he's looking for right here. He's got more momentum this time.
Right rear. Try and keep on his right rear.
He's out front, but can he hold it against the wall? He gets into the wall. So does the 10. Contact made. Here comes the 19. Brandon Jones is leading. 1 lap to go. 4.2 seconds back. This is the move. This was the setup.
Right front, I think.
Chase Elliott goes to the bottom of the racetrack. Not sure why he did that. The top was working great for him. Martin saw that. He goes to the top. That allows him a huge run down the front straightaway. Chase tries to block. Martin ultimately says, this is my spot, drives in underneath him.
Yeah, Martin committed on the entry here. They go up the racetrack. They connect right there. Sends both cars into the fence. Really hard right front contact for both cars.
Right rear tire may be going down on Martin Truex Jr.'s car. Now he just radioed it in.
And Dave, maybe a right front for Chase Elliott. He radioed that in a moment ago, so he thinks he might have a right front going down. A lot of drama here at the end of the Southern 500.
He wants to concentrate more on calling the races. Well, when you win 7 races, on the bottom of the racetrack, Kevin Harvick trying to hold up Austin Dillon. The last charge by Dillon. He comes up a 4. Harvick's still going to win.
Round of 16 would come and go, ending with a thrilling duel between Kevin Harvick and Kyle Busch at Bristol. The round of 12 is where the fun truly was shown, especially at Talladega. On the last lap, all hell broke loose.
Gets up into the wall. Now the 24, a big run. He slides. They make more contact. 3 wide as they come out of 4.
Hamlin to the inside. Side draft coming from the 24 car.
Denny Hamlin. William Byron. Through the tri-oval, coming up to the stripe. And as they go across the stripe, a photo finish. Denny Hamlin gets the nod.
The debate over the yellow line rule was reignited with this race, as it looked as though Denny Hamlin got away with one, as he clearly was below the yellow line. Yet, he was allowed to keep the win. This basically set the grid for the round of 8, even with the Roval being next, Chase Elliott once again winning at the hybrid track. At Kansas, the next round of both the playoffs and NASCAR's fan debate began, as air basically decided the finish between Joey Logano and Kevin Harvick. This would be the biggest blast against the 550 horsepower package ever, and really set the tone for the rest of the season and offseason as well from a fan's perspective. That would be washed away the next week and a half as the race at Texas started for a little bit and then was rained or more misted out for 3 whole days. Yeah, I don't think that's happened ever, but it happened this time. We set a record with it. The race would end up being rather unspectacular, but defending champion Kyle Busch did finally break through to win his only victory of 2020. The playoff battle would come down to the wire as well in a 3-way fight for the final spot in the final 4 between Brad Keselowski, Kevin Harvick, and Denny Hamlin.
Can Harvick do it? The final turn. Get it. He needs the position.
Oh, Harvick spins the 18.
Turns into the 18. He turns as well. The 18 crosses the start-finish line, and Harvick is going to be out of the playoffs.
Heading to Phoenix, there was no clear favorite, but the race saw all 4 battling in the top 5 all day. But in the end, it was NASCAR's most popular driver, Chase Elliott, winning it all. For most of the fandom, it meant that all was right in the world, and it was huge for the sport, and thus leads us to the present day. So now we wait for 2021 and the next Daytona 500. But before then, I want to hear from you. What was your favorite moment of the 2020 NASCAR season? Let me know down in the comments below. And leave a like on this video if you really like it, and subscribe to my channel for more great NASCAR content. And until next time, have a good one.